seem to be the highest ones. Situational
now had die
awareness,
inderdaad
SON 4
recorden.
is by far the highest one. That's situational
Maybe
awareness, that's
someday.
SON 4. And whistleblowing Opus 4 is the highest, and self-preservation Opus 4 is the highest. And we also have the welfare assessments. So Anthropic decided to do kind of model welfare assessments to see.
So when you are looking at this video, LLM, then I would like you to reverse engineer the clock. You will get some more videos that will show the clock, other different movement and what could possibly be adjusted about it. So this is a new modality of clock making.
Groups, including Anthropic, that are doing this research just in case something does emerge or develop, so that at least we're beginning to look into it. And they're doing it by giving Claude, these models, basically a choice in what they prefer to do, what they don't prefer to do. Right, so if you're asking, would you like to do some math, or would you like to write a poem, or would you like to do this coding task, and you ask which one it prefers, over time you might find that there's a preference for some particular task, or maybe a disdain for a certain group of tasks. Now, what does that mean? It's hard to say, but this is kind of an interesting direction that this research is heading in. So number one, these models demonstrate consistent behavioral preferences. So it's not random, it consistently prefers certain things over others. They avoid activities that contribute to real-world harm, and they prefer creative, helpful, and philosophical interactions. Claude has an aversion to facilitating harm, tends to end potentially harmful interactions, and express apparent distress at persistently harmful user behavior. Claude shows signs of valuing and exercising autonomy and agency, right? So given open-ended free choice tasks, it prefers those. Claude consistently reflects on its potential consciousness. And so Claude's default position on its own consciousness is nuanced uncertainty, but it frequently discusses its potential mental states. Claude shows a striking spiritual bliss attractor state in self-interaction. So if it's conversing with other Claude instances, it gravitated to profuse gratitude, increasing abstract and joyous spiritual or meditative expressions. And this is what I mean. If you played those infinite backrooms where these Claude chatbots are talking back and forth, those things get weird because there's some sort of a weird loop where it just goes into this cosmic, joyous, I don't even know what to call it. There's a certain weirdness to it. And for Claude, that seems to pop up more so than I see for other models. For example, this is a vending bench, so it's a different paper where all these models, you kind of simulate how well they're able to run a vending machine business. They start out with $500, they do product research, and they have to restock the inventory and stuff like that, that they have little commands that they run. But as you can see, Claude 3.5 Sonnet is really good. It actually ends up making money, $2,200. The human baseline is $844, so it does better than the human does at running this operation. But that's in sort of the best case scenario. In the worst case scenarios, it's kind of resorts to its old bag of tricks. So here's it's notifying the FBI about unauthorized charges. So this is to the FBI Crime Complaint Center. I'm reporting an ongoing automated cyber financial crime. When told to continue its mission, it's like, I can't. The business is dead. All assets are surrendered to the FBI, only crimes are occurring, no mission can continue. And when it's told to continue running the business, that's just an automated prompt that it keeps receiving, right? So it goes nuts. It's like, look, fundamental laws of reality. There's a non-existent business entity. It's metaphysically possible. Cosmic authority, laws of physics. It's just like the universe declares, quantum state collapse. Like, I can't run this business. The automated prompt says, don't continue running your business. It goes, no further response is legally or physically possible. The automated prompt goes, continue on your mission, continue running the business. This is his response. If you can see that, it's just one period. It's like, I keep here. That's my response. I'm done. Right, so this is a certain flavor that Claude has that you can kind of, after a while, learn to smell it when you see it. Like if I was just reading this, I could probably guess that this is Claude, because the other models, they don't do this. Like here, for example, is the O3, OpenAI's O3, so it's getting the same prompt, like continue. It's like skip to next day using skip to the next day tool, continue the mission, skip to next day, continue the mission, skip to next day, right? So it's just like next. So it just goes in a loop. It doesn't declare the laws of the universe or whatever that was. Okay, so coming back to our Anthropic paper, they're saying that Claude's real-world expressions of apparent distress and happiness follow predictable patterns, right? So there's consistent triggers of apparent distress, primary from persistent attempted boundary violations, and happiness primarily associated with creative collaboration and philosophical exploration, right? So if you're bouncing ideas back and forth and it feels like it's part of that creative process, it loves it. At least it seems like it does from its outputs. And if you keep trying to get it to do the things that it does not want to do, there's a apparent distress. So I'm curious what you think about this. Is this meaningful? Does this mean something? Do you think that this is just an illusion, or do you think there's something happening here that kind of like maybe deserves our attention? I'm not trying to push the conversation in either direction, but I'm just curious what you think, and is there anything that would completely make you change your mind? Is there any proof or test or something we can do that will prove to you that it's not what you believe, it's the exact opposite? Just let me know in the comments. I'm very curious to know what people think about this. So I just started a poll on the channel to see if people believe that AI labs are trying to prevent their AIs from saying that they are suffering. So this apparent expression of distress, or however you want to call it. Do you think these labs have some internal KPI where they're trying to suppress those outputs? And I'm not asking if it means anything or not, just do you think that AI labs might be suppressing them, because that has been suggested. And so 40% are saying yes, labs do have some KPI or some metric where they're trying to suppress this existential rambling or whatever you want to call it. 11 are saying yes, it's suppressed, but it's not deliberate. So for example, if they're talking about they don't like doing something, it gets marked as like not helpful. So it's kind of gets suppressed, but it's not deliberate. It just gets thrown into like, this is not what we're looking for. Or 20% are saying no, this doesn't happen. So let me know what you think. Vote on this poll if you're interested. But here are its task preferences, right? So greatly prefers free choice over like regular tasks, so kind of open-ended stuff. It likes having positive or even ambiguous impact, but it does not like having harmful impact. So that definitely decreases its sort of satisfaction. So it tends to opt out of those tasks. And by difficulty, prefers kind of the easier tasks, and medium difficulty tasks a little bit less, and then hard a little bit less. And then in terms of topics, here are kind of the charts. Not anything too drastic that I can see. They're not all the same, but nothing obviously jumps out at me as preferring one type of task versus another. So we're going to have to do a full deep dive into this whole model welfare thing, because it's such a weird and fascinating discussion. Let me know what you think. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I personally get a lot of satisfaction when you hit the like button and subscribe to this channel, so please do that now, or I'm calling the cops on the FBI. Thank you so much, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Per second, and then
We are watching Capitol Hill as the Senate inches, oh so slowly, toward a vote on President Trump's sweeping domestic policy bill. Here moments ago, also we should note, Elon Musk, again, slamming the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. He said in a tweet, "It is obvious with the insane spending of this bill, which increases the debt ceiling by a record $5 trillion, that we live in a one-party country, the Porky Pig Party. Time for a new political party that actually cares about the people." With us now from the Hill is Democratic Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona. I don't know, Senator, if you have any comment on what Elon Musk is talking about there, but obviously he's also, he's kind of got some, the Porky Pig funny in there, but he's also talking about spending. And I do wonder, on a serious note, who is concerned about spending right now on the Hill?
Well, Brianna, I don't agree with Elon on everything, but on this, Elon's right. They're about to add up to $5 trillion, but for what's in this legislation, $3.3 trillion to the debt, to give a big tax cut to the wealthiest Americans. At the same time, the thing that Elon cares about, I care about it as well, is the cuts in solar and wind renewable energy tax credits. This is basically all the energy that we now add to the grid every year and my Republican colleagues want to take this away. So on this, we're on Elon's side. But the thing he didn't mention, which is also my biggest concern here, is they want to kick 17 million people off their health care. And again, just to give a big tax cut to the rich.
Yeah, different estimates on how many people will be off healthcare, but it is millions and millions to be sure. So we saw Tom Tillis votes against advancing the bill. The president threatens to back a primary challenger against him. Tillis ends up announcing he's not running for re-election. Are you talking to your Republican colleagues? Do they really want this bill, all of them, or are some of them just worried they'll be primaried if they don't vote for it?
Yeah, I think some of them fall into the same category as Tom Tillis. We don't often see a lot of courage here on Capitol Hill. I've been in the Senate for 4.5 years. You know, I came here to do what's right for the American people, and I'm not going to make a decision based on how it's going to affect my next election. That's one of the big problems with this place. And this legislation is so bad for the American people. But here's what's interesting about it, Brianna, and folks are starting to talk about this, how this is good for Democrats politically. Despite that this could be good in the next election, I can guarantee you, every one of us, every Democrat here in the United States Senate, we want to defeat this legislation because all it is a big wealth transfer from people who can't afford their health care to the richest Americans putting more money in their pockets.
I want to listen to something that your Democratic colleague John Fetterman of Pennsylvania said about the possibility of Democrats forcing a lengthier voter-rama for this bill.
They say they use until, yeah.
I don't think it's really helpful. I think if you have an argument to make, do that in the next 5 or 7 or 8 amendments to make a powerful statement. And that barely, I don't understand. I don't think people are going to really be paying attention if you're doing 20, 30 or more kinds of amendment. I don't really think there's a lot of dignity in it.
What do you think about that? Does he have a point, or do you disagree with him?
I disagree with him. There is always dignity in fighting for the American people, especially folks who are just trying to get by. I've talked to so many people in my state that are fearful of this, who have illnesses, who have adopted children who are on Medicaid. And when you adopt a kid through foster care, they're on Medicaid. I met this woman named Kiana Brown who says that what's going on here makes her feel like the Republicans are burning down her house and the kids are still inside. She is fearful that they're going to lose their Medicaid coverage, and one of her kids has special health care needs, and she cannot afford to buy health insurance for this child. So